I watched her laugh at something my husband whispered in her ear, her hand resting possessively on his arm as they walked into the garden venue. The ivory silk dress she wore, too white, too bridal, caught the afternoon sunlight. Marcus had introduced her as Vanessa, my colleague from the firm. My sister Claire squeezed my hand under the table, her wedding day smile not quite reaching her eyes. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed. Because tomorrow, I've saved something extra special for you. You okay? She whispered. I nodded, taking a slow sip of champagne. Perfect. Don't worry about me. This is your day. What Claire didn't know, what nobody knew yet, was that I'd been expecting this. For 3 months, I'd known about Vanessa Chen, junior partner at Marcus's law firm, 28 years old, ambitious, and catastrophically stupid in her choice of married men to sleep with. The garden venue was picturesque, all white roses and string lights waiting for evening. 200 guests mingled under the late September sky. My parents sat at the family table, my father already misty-eyed despite the ceremony being an hour away. Marcus and Vanessa had claimed seats at a table near the back, probably his attempt at discretion. Too little, too late. My phone buzzed silently in my clutch. A message from Detective Sarah Morrison. Package delivered. Warrant active as of 2 p.m. Your call. I typed back quickly. Timing is everything. Stand by. Who's that? Marcus appeared at my shoulder, his cologne overwhelming in the open air. He'd always worn too much. Just work. I smiled up at him, watching his eyes scan my face for suspicion. After 12 years of marriage, he'd gotten comfortable, lazy. He thought he knew all my tells. On your sister's wedding day? Come on, Diane. He kissed the top of my head, a gesture that once made me feel cherished. Now it felt like a branded ownership mark. Vanessa's really excited to be here. She's never been to a garden wedding. How thoughtful of you to bring her. I kept my voice light, pleasant. Though I notice her dress is quite formal. Marcus's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. The invitation said cocktail attire. Did it? I tilted my head. I must have misremembered. Well, she looks lovely regardless. He studied me for a moment longer, then seemed to decide I was being sincere. I should get back. Need anything? No, darling. I'm perfect. I watched him walk away, his hand finding the small of Vanessa's back as he rejoined her. She leaned into him, and something hot and ugly twisted in my chest. Not jealousy. I'd moved past that weeks ago. Rage, maybe. Or satisfaction at what was coming. The discovery had been almost accidental. 3 months ago, I'd been looking for Marcus's insurance card in his office at home when I found the credit card statement. Marcus was meticulous about finances, almost obsessive. Seeing charges from hotels we'd never stayed at, restaurants we'd never visited, jewelry I'd never received. It had been jarring. But I hadn't confronted him. Not then. Instead, I'd done what any tax attorney with a forensic accounting background would do. I'd started digging. The affair itself was almost boring in its predictability. Late nights at the office that weren't at the office, a second phone he thought he'd hidden well, romantic weekend getaways disguised as business trips. What made it interesting, what made it criminal, was everything else I found. Marcus thought he was careful. He'd always been arrogant about his intelligence, his Harvard law degree, his partnership track. But arrogance makes people sloppy. The embezzlement had started small. A few thousand here and there from the client trust accounts he managed. Easy to hide in a large firm, especially when you're the one responsible for reconciling the accounts. But Marcus had gotten greedy. Over the past 2 years, he'd stolen nearly $500,000 from client funds, and he'd documented everything on his personal computer. The laptop he thought was password protected but used our wedding anniversary as the code. The external drive hidden in his golf bag that contained every falsified record, every forged document, every piece of evidence a federal prosecutor could want. I'd copied everything. Then I'd called my old friend Sarah Morrison, who'd made detective with the Financial Crimes Unit 5 years ago. She'd connected me with the FBI's white-collar crime division. 3 months of careful documentation, of letting Marcus believe he was safe, of watching him bring his mistress to family functions and laugh at jokes I'd stopped finding funny years ago. Places, everyone! The wedding coordinator clapped her hands. Ceremony starts in 15 minutes. I made my way to the front row, taking my designated seat next to my mother. She clutched a handkerchief, already emotional. "Your sister looks so beautiful," Mom whispered. "I can't believe my baby is getting married." "She deserves to be happy," I said, meaning it. Claire had found something rare, a partner who actually saw her, who supported her dreams without trying to diminish them. Watching them together over the past 3 years had shown me everything my own marriage wasn't. Marcus slipped into the seat beside me just as the string quartet began playing. His hand found mine, fingers interlacing. The wedding band I'd chosen for him pressed against my skin. I didn't pull away. Not yet. Claire's ceremony was lovely. She cried during her vows. Her new husband, David, cried harder. Even I felt my eyes sting, though whether from happiness or the weight of what I was carrying, I couldn't say. The reception started with cocktails in the garden while the staff flipped the ceremony space into dinner seating. Marcus immediately excused himself to check on Vanessa, leaving me at the bar with my cousin Jennifer. "Is it just me, or is Marcus's colleague a bit much?" Jennifer asked quietly, nodding toward where Vanessa held court with several groomsmen, her laugh carrying across the lawn. "She's young," I said diplomatically. "She's all over your husband." Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, like this video, it means a lot to us. Now, back to the story. Is she? I sipped my wine, watching Marcus hand Vanessa a fresh glass of champagne. "I hadn't noticed." Jennifer gave me a long look. "Di, are you—" "It's Claire's day," I interrupted gently. "Nothing else matters right now." Dinner was a blur of courses and toasts. The best man told embarrassing stories about David's college years. Claire's maid of honor cried through her entire speech. My father welcomed David to the family with such genuine warmth that even Marcus seemed moved. Then the coordinator handed me the microphone. "As the bride's sister," she said, "you have the honor of the final toast before the dancing begins." My phone buzzed as I stood. Sarah's message was simple. "In position. Go time?" I typed back with one hand while accepting the microphone with the other. "Now." The crowd quieted as I walked to the center of the makeshift dance floor. 200 faces turned toward me expectantly. I found Claire's eyes and smiled. "Claire," I began, my voice carrying across the garden, "you've always been the brave one. The one who jumped first, loved harder, believed more deeply. When we were kids, I was the careful one, always planning, always thinking 3 steps ahead. You taught me that sometimes you just have to trust the fall." Claire beamed, David's arm around her shoulders. "I've learned a lot about trust over the past few years," I continued. "About the difference between blind faith and earned confidence. About how love without honesty is just a pretty lie we tell ourselves to feel safe." I saw Marcus shift uncomfortably in his peripheral vision. "Good. Claire, you and David have something real, something built on transparency and respect. That's rare. That's precious. That's worth celebrating." I raised my glass. To trust. To honesty. To marriages built on truth rather than— The sound of car doors slamming cut through the evening air. Multiple doors. Heavy footsteps on the flagstone path leading into the garden. Rather than deception, I finished, watching Marcus's face drain of color as 4 FBI agents in windbreakers appeared at the garden entrance, Detective Morrison leading them. The murmur through the crowd rose like a wave. Claire stood, confused. My mother's hand flew to her mouth. "Diane?" Marcus's voice cracked. "What is this?" "This," I said calmly, still holding the microphone so everyone could hear, "is a federal arrest warrant for embezzlement, wire fraud, and theft from client trust accounts totaling $473,000. Vanessa gasped, stumbling backward. Several guests pulled out phones. Detective Morrison reached our table, another agent flanking her. "Marcus Castellano?" Sarah said formally, though we both knew she knew exactly who he was. "You're under arrest. You have the right to remain silent." "This is insane." Marcus surged to his feet, but the agent beside Sarah already had handcuffs ready. "Diane, what the hell are you doing? This is your sister's wedding." "I know." I met his eyes steadily, feeling nothing but a cold, clean satisfaction. I thought about waiting, but then I realized, why should Claire's happiness be diminished by your presence? Why should I stand here and pretend while you parade your mistress in front of my family? "Mistress?" My mother's voice was faint. "What?" "Vanessa Chen." I gestured toward her with my champagne glass. She'd gone completely white, frozen in place. "Junior partner at Marcus's firm. They've been sleeping together for 7 months. He's been stealing from his clients for 2 years. The FBI has been building their case for 3 months at my request, with my evidence." Marcus lunged toward me, but the agents restrained him quickly. "You vindictive bitch." "You have the right to remain silent," Sarah continued, raising her voice. "Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to an attorney." "I am an attorney." "Then you understand your rights." Sarah's voice was professional steel. "We can do this quietly, or we can make a scene. Your choice." Claire appeared at my elbow, still in her wedding dress, her face a mixture of shock and something else, something that looked almost like pride. "D," she said quietly, taking the microphone from my hand. "Did you really just arrest your husband at my wedding?" "I'm so sorry," I started, the reality of what I'd done suddenly hitting me. "I know this is your day, I shouldn't have—" "Are you kidding?" Claire's laugh was slightly hysterical. "This is the most badass thing you've ever done. Can I get that on video?" Several guests laughed, the tension breaking slightly. Marcus was being led away, still shouting about lawyers and proof, and how this would never stick. Vanessa had disappeared, probably mortified. Sarah paused at my side as they escorted Marcus past. "You did good," she murmured. "Evidence was perfect. He'll be lucky to avoid federal prison." I nodded, unable to speak around the sudden tightness in my throat. The garden was chaos now, everyone talking at once. My father reached me first, pulling me into a fierce hug. "I never liked him," he whispered. "I tried to for your sake, but I never did." My mother was crying, but when she hugged me, she held on tight. "You should have told us." "I needed to handle it my way," I said. "I needed proof. I needed to know I wasn't crazy, that I wasn't overreacting." Claire clinked her glass with a fork, the sharp sound cutting through the noise. The crowd quieted again, all eyes on her. "Well," she said, her voice carrying across the garden, "that was certainly the most memorable wedding toast I've ever heard." Laughter rippled through the guests. "But my sister is right. Today is about trust, about honesty, about the courage to demand better even when it's hard, especially when it's hard." She raised her glass toward me, to Diane, "for being the brave one today. For showing us all that love without respect is worthless, and that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is refuse to accept less than you deserve." "To Diane," the crowd echoed, glasses raised. I stood there, champagne in hand, surrounded by my family as the sun set over the garden where I'd just publicly destroyed my marriage and exposed my husband's crimes. And for the first time in 12 years, I felt free. Later, much later, after the dancing had started and the scandal had become just another incredible wedding story, Claire found me sitting alone at our now empty table. She sat down, her wedding dress pooling around her like sea foam. "You planned this," she said. It wasn't a question. I did. The timing. My wedding. You chose it specifically. I looked at her, this woman who'd always seen through my careful facades. I wanted witnesses. I wanted it public. I wanted him to feel the same humiliation he made me feel every time he brought her around, every time he lied, every time he made me feel small. And I wanted you to know that love doesn't mean accepting cruelty, that marriage isn't a prison, that we teach people how to treat us, and I was done teaching Marcus that I'd accept anything. Claire squeezed my hand. That's very wise for someone who just committed what could technically be classified as revenge. It's not revenge if it's justice, I said. I simply accelerated the timeline and chose a memorable venue. She laughed, the sound pure and joyful. You know what? I'm glad you did. 20 years from now, people won't remember my flowers or my dress or even my vows. They'll remember the wedding where the bride's sister had her criminal husband arrested during the toast. That's legendary. I'm sorry I overshadowed your day. Are you kidding? You made my day unforgettable. Plus, she grinned wickedly, now I'll always have the best wedding story at any party. No one can compete with that. We sat together as the music played and our family danced, watching the string lights twinkle in the darkening sky. My phone buzzed with messages. My lawyer, the FBI case agent, concerned friends who'd heard through the grapevine. But for now, I silenced it all. Tomorrow, I'd deal with divorce proceedings and asset division and the satisfaction of watching Marcus face federal charges. Tomorrow, I'd start rebuilding my life without the weight of his deception. Tonight, I was just going to sit with my sister at her wedding and feel absolutely, perfectly free. You know what the best part is? Claire said suddenly. What? You did it without raising your voice, without causing a scene beyond the actual arrest. You just stood there and told the truth. That's power. She was right. For 3 months, I'd played the role Marcus expected, the docile wife, the woman who didn't notice, who didn't care. I'd documented every crime, every lie, every moment of his arrogance. And when the moment came, I'd simply stopped pretending. The truth, it turned out, needed no embellishment, no drama, no hysterics, just evidence, timing, and the courage to stop accepting less than I deserved. Marcus thought he was so careful, so smart, but he'd forgotten the most important rule: never underestimate the quiet ones. We're not passive, we're not naive, we're just waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Up next, you've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.